Hi, I'm Georgie. Welcome back to my channel. So happy to have you here and happy Spring Equinox. It is Monday the 20th of March and today is officially the day of the Spring Equinox, otherwise known as the vernal equinox. So the word equinox comes from the Latin aequus, which means equal, and nox, which means night. So equinox is equal night, because that is the time of year when the day and the night are roughly, obviously it's never going to be exactly, but they're roughly the same time. It happens twice a year, once in the spring and once in the autumn. And the vernal, so if you hear it referred to as the vernal equinox, it's basically just Latin for of the spring, fresh, new. So what happens to make the vernal equinox so significant, the spring equinox so significant, and the day and the night at roughly the same amount of time? Now obviously for us in the northern hemisphere, we experience the spring equinox around March, and then when we experience our autumn equinox, if you live in the southern hemisphere, that's when you're experiencing your spring equinox, and you'll currently be experiencing your autumn equinox right now. Now we all know we have the equator that goes around the Earth, so it's like this band that travels around the Earth that marks the centre of the planet. Now if you can imagine a celestial version, so another version that is above the sky, when we hit the vernal equinox, the sun is passing over that celestial equator, so that essentially the planet is tilted so that we are now beginning to face the sun and get more sunlight. So from this point onwards, since the winter solstice, we've been gradually getting more light, but the night has still been longer. Now the nights are going to start to get shorter until the summer solstice, which will be the longest day of the year and the shortest night. The equinox is mainly a celestial phenomenon. However, it has been a part of spiritual practice for a long time. Now I know this is a yoga channel, but I do have spiritual practices outside of the traditional yoga practice. So some of the themes that come up around the time of the solstice is obviously rebirth, regeneration, growth, new growth, awakening, because at this time that is a lot of what is happening. So even if you have planted seeds or bulbs, and so if we talk gardens, if you planted seeds or bulbs or things like that in the autumn, and now that we're at the spring, you're starting to get the flowers and the daffodils and the snowdrops starting to come through. They've come through that darkness and now they're being reborn. For a lot of plants and a lot of seeds, however, now is the time to plant them in order to harvest them later in the year. So you have this kind of metaphor for our lives in the very real aspect of the natural world, where things have perhaps died off over the winter and now starting to show new shoots and starting to come back to life. And then it's also a great time to start looking forward to things that weren't already in place to grow and to plant the seeds for that to happen. Obviously, it's an opportunity to look at balance and redress balance within our lives. This time is all about the balance between the light, the day and night, and therefore the light and the dark. There is light and dark in all of us, and hiding and shying away from that darkness doesn't get us anywhere. So sometimes facing into any darkness that we might be holding on to, any difficulties that we may have encountered, and just kind of facing into that and bringing that out into the light. Another theme is opportunity. So this is potential. There is a lot of potential in the air right now. The potential for growth, the potential for light. There's a shift. The wildlife starts to become a lot more active, and we can take again that metaphor from what is happening in the world around us into our spiritual practice. We can look at where we can create more opportunity. We can look at being grateful for the opportunities that we do have and making the most of what what we have available to us. Obviously, this is a time of increasing light. So if we look at that example, the increasing light of the day, it is an illumination, and it is a chance for us to meditate and gain clarity on where we're going with all of these themes. So taking a moment to meditate on your opportunities, taking a moment to meditate on your potential going forward, taking a moment to meditate on whether you do feel in balance, to take an opportunity to meditate about, you know, what is regrowing, what can you do to boost regrowth within you, all those kind of things. Now, it's a pretty universal phenomenon to celebrate the solstice. There are different ways of celebrating the solstice across the globe. Obviously, I'm from the UK, so a lot of my sort of ancestry, as it were, in Northern Europe and the UK would be looking at perhaps Wicca, Celtic and more Druidic practices. So the theme, if you were looking at it from a Wiccan perspective, is they have this idea of the goddess, and the goddess is an archetype that lives within all of us, and it is the spring is the goddess moving towards the peak of her maidenhood. So youth and vitality and fertility and innocence and joy, and all of those feelings that we get with spring are associated with this maiden energy. And obviously, as we go through the year, the maiden will progress into the different phases before becoming the crone at winter, where, you know, kind of goes into a hibernation almost state before again being reborn into the maiden in the spring. Ancient Northern European culture, there was a feast around this time called Ostara or Aostra, and as with many things such as Yule, when Christianity spread, it was absorbed within the religion, and it became Easter. So obviously Easter, when we celebrate Easter, it is dependent on Passover, and there are lots of nuances around it now, and because it's a constantly moving date. However, traditionally, and the reason it is celebrated now is because obviously when the Christians were trying to get people to convert, they took these existing festivals, so this existing festival of Ostara, and Christianized it and turned those themes of rebirth and made them something that would still be palatable to these ancient beliefs and ancient practices. So some small things you could do today to celebrate the spring equinox, they include bringing flowers into the home. Now, you could go out and you could cut some flowers or buy some flowers from the supermarket. Obviously, this is going to give you a beautiful, fresh, springy feel. However, I would be tempted to take that one step further, because obviously cut flowers, they do eventually die and you only get a few weeks out of them. I think it's a lot more poignant to perhaps buy bulbs. So at the moment, everyone is selling little sets of like mascari bulbs or hyacinth bulbs or daffodil bulbs that have already sprouted, that perhaps you could put in a slightly nicer pot, and they will flower. And then when they're finished flowering, instead of just them going in the bin or your compost heap, you could actually take them out into your garden or give them to somebody who does have a garden, and they can then be planted, put back into the earth, and then they become part of this cycle that we're celebrating. Obviously, the idea of a spring clean is not going to be new to anybody. It's called spring cleaning for a reason. It's getting out and rid of the old, bringing in the new, creating space for the new, creating space for that potential to be filled. Even just opening, even if your house is clean, you don't really want to do a full deep clean, even just opening the windows today and letting the fresh sunshine in will make such a huge difference to your mental and physical well-being, because you're getting fresh air into your body and into your lungs, and you're kind of just inviting and creating space to invite in the energies that we're talking about today. Other things that you could do involve getting outside, unsurprisingly. So sowing seeds is a really nice time to sow some intentional seeds. So whether that's vegetables in your garden, whether that's flowers that you want to watch grow, perhaps you use cut flowers in your home and you want to kind of live a little bit more harmoniously, then this is a great time to get those seeds planted ready for harvesting later on. And then going for a walk, you know, getting out there in the wonderful equinox energy and just marveling, and take some time to observe those things that we've spoken about: the light, the regrowth, things sprouting for the first time, leaves with their fresh new buds, things that have come into flower, and just really sitting in gratitude for what the earth does just naturally. And then if you are really adventurous, you can always watch the sun come up this morning for that balance of light and dark. Or if you're a bit like me and you're not necessarily an early bird, then just watching the sunset this evening, and again just taking a moment of gratitude and respect, and allow yourself to feel awe and wonder at the natural world. Thank you for joining me for a quick chat about the spring equinox. I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful day. Please, if you've enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more yoga, meditation and wellness. Also, don't forget, we are doing a whole week around the equinox in the same way that we did wellness for Christmas. We're doing a whole week for the equinox, different things that we can do and ways that we can celebrate. And head over to my Instagram account at Georgie_May_ for more bits and pieces, really. Okay, until next time, have a beautiful day.